Hi everyone, and welcome to the next lecture where I'll be teaching you how to install and set up Visual Studio Code, commonly referred to as VS Code. Okay, so just a bit about Visual Studio Code and this installation. Okay, so we will of course need to use a source code editor to write our code. Okay, and of course, as you're aware, there are many source code editors out there, such as VS Code, Sublime Text, and Atom, so you can go ahead and choose whichever you'd like, okay, but I'd highly recommend that you use VS Code for the purpose of this course, so just bear that in mind. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and install and set up Visual Studio Code, or VS Code you could say, and in the event that you guys prefer to follow a step-by-step guide, okay, there is a PDF guide attached under the resources of this lecture, so you can of course go ahead and just check that out instead. Okay, so that's it on this lecture. Hey everyone, so let's install and set up Visual Studio Code. So let's head over to Google, and we can just type in Visual Studio Code and download. Okay, so this is the option that we want to select. So download Visual Studio Code. So just select that. Okay, now choose the correct version for your operating system. So in this course, I'm using a Windows-based operating system, so I'm just going to choose Windows. Okay, so let's just wait for the download. Okay, so once VS Code has been downloaded, you can just click on it. Okay, let's just wait for it to open up. Okay, first of all, make sure that you accept the license agreement. Then you can select Next. Okay, you can add to the path. This is important. Next. And now we can just select Install. Okay, so now we can see that the setup was successful. We can leave the box checked here, so we can launch Visual Studio Code, and we can click Finish. Okay, and now we can just wait, and Visual Studio Code should open for us. And there we have it. And there we go. So we have successfully set up Visual Studio Code. Okay, that's it. Hi everyone, and welcome to the next lecture, which will be on Python installation and setup. Okay, so for this course, okay, Python needs to be installed on our computer, okay, before we can actually go ahead and use Django. Okay, so I know probably all of you will know this, but this is just in case for some reason you do not have Python installed on your computer. Okay, we will install and set up Python version 3.9.13, okay? Okay, it is highly recommended that you use the exact same version for the purpose of this course. You can, however, choose a different version, but I mean, there could be errors down the road, so just bear in mind the version here. Okay. Okay, and during the process, okay, you must make sure that you add Python to your path, but don't worry, there will be lots of support for this lecture. Okay, so don't stress. So for the practical, we're going to go ahead and install and set up Python, and do bear note that there will be a downloadable PDF guide attached, which will show you the steps for installing and setting up Python if you prefer a guide for that instead. Okay, so that's that. Hi everyone, so let's install and set up Python. So first of all, you just want to head over to Google and you want to type in Python install. Okay, after that, we want to select the first option that we have here, which is download Python, python.org. Okay, then we can just scroll down the page a little bit until we see this nice table here with different release versions for Python. Now, of course, the version that we want to choose is Python 3.9.13. Okay, just make sure here by the heading up top that that is the version that we will be using. Now we can scroll down to the bottom until we see another table with files. Now the file that we want to download is the Windows installer 64-bit, which we can just select. Okay, once it's downloaded, we can then open it up. Okay, now the important thing, we need to make sure that we add Python to our path. This is essential. Then after that, we can just go ahead and install Python. Okay, so the setup shouldn't take too long. So let's just wait. Okay, so we can now see that the setup was successful and that Python has been installed on our computer. So we can just close this prompt and close again our window. And now we just want to verify and make sure that Python has indeed been installed on our computer. So to do that, we just want to search for our command prompt or CMD, okay, which we can just open. And now we just want to type in the following command. So Python space 2 dashes and then type version. And now we can see here that Python 3.9.13 has indeed been installed on our machine. Okay, so that's it. Hi everyone, and welcome to the next lecture, which will be on Visual Studio Code extensions. So Visual Studio Code, as we know, is a text editor, or an IDE to be more specific. And Visual Studio Code has a huge library of extensions that are used to enrich our programming experiences. So such libraries may help us with adding languages, adding tools, debuggers, and even themes. So what I mean by themes, you can change the design and the color of your Visual Studio Code sort of interface. So it's really something to look into, and I'm just going to go in a more practical detail with you in just a moment. But I just wanted to give you a brief theoretical understanding of the Visual Studio Code extension. So let's get straight to the next part. Hi everyone, and welcome to the next hands-on activity, which will be on Visual Studio Code extensions. So there's just something I want to quickly teach you here, and that is to manage your extensions. So here on the left, you'll see this block sort of icon. And if you hover over the tooltip, will show extensions. So you can go ahead and click on that. And what you can do is you can actually go ahead and search for extensions. Now, the important one that you should go ahead and install here is called Python, of course. So you can go ahead and search for Python, and you can click on the first one that you see here, and you can go ahead and install it. So I already have it installed. So you should go ahead and just make sure that you install this extension here on Visual Studio Code. All right. So if you're unsure of how to do that, I'm just going to show you as an example. I'm going to uninstall it, and I'm going to reinstall this now. So it should show like this for you. So I'm going to install it. Okay. So let's go ahead there. Just be aware of the notice here and the information that Visual Studio Code mentions here. So it's for supported versions of the language greater than Python 3.7. So do bear that in mind. Okay, so there we go. So that is the extension done. All right, so that's the important part to go through. Now, there are lots of other extensions that you can look for. So let's say you want to change the theme of your Visual Studio Code interface. You can type in theme. And you can go ahead and just browse through the various themes that are offered here. So you can go ahead and search for them. You know, you can click on a few of these, have a look, and you can install the ones which you feel is most appropriate for you. And you know, you can browse through here and have a look and see what, you know, takes your fancy and install that theme. So you get a very nice sort of interface or layer with your code. So just bear that in mind. Okay, so that's it. Just a little bit on extensions for you, so you at least have some sort of understanding on it. So that's that.